Late night. What's up, Buns? Yeah. Oh. Was gonna go to bed and then these guys were playing, so I'm back, I guess. So here we are. What's up, Sterling?
Howdy.
My new co-caster.
Alrighty, got Jaeyun, Moonrai. What a matchup.
What a crazy matchup. I loved watching it from Jaeyun's point of view, even just that first game, because he was getting the Moonrai experience where he's like, he genuinely could not understand what Moonrai was doing the entire game.
What is this guy up to? He's always up to something. And his build range is pretty wide. He can do like 1 base aggression, 2 base aggression, dropship play, timings, passive play, like.
And sometimes he does builds like that where it's just super inefficient, and then we do a 2 tank push at 9 minutes. Like, you never know what's coming.
Yeah, you never know.
Who have I got? Jaeyun, for sure, but Moon always has a chance to get a game or two, I think.
Yep. I think Jaeyun will be playing like pretty safe and pretty defensively, which is a really good way to play against Moon.
Yep, 100%. And it's easier to play safe and defensive against a Terran player than a Protoss player.
Yeah.
Because you can over prepare as Terran, as Protoss. You actually, there's not really much like over preparing like you can do outside of making like cannons or something. So like pretty much if you go like 3-gate obs, for instance, this will block almost everything that could possibly come your way. And Jaeyun ended up doing like 4-gate tech off of 2 base or something last game. So yeah.
Yeah, Protoss just has such a sizable advantage early in this matchup that if they delay their 3rd base, there's pretty much no way Terran can kill them.
Yep. That's what makes 2-gate ARB so good. Like, you can't push into it, but it still has like such a strong mid game.
Yeah, like a lot of the Terran strategies these days are designed around timings, but they're timings that put pressure on the sort of, streamlined Protoss PvT builds where they 2-gate obs take a 3rd like pretty quickly. So like I think Moonrai was aiming for something like that, but that's just not going to work against 4-gate obs.
Yep. Yeah, he also seemed like he wasn't sure what Jaeyun was doing. The push was so I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, also given the spawn locations, like that push.
Yeah, because you're attacking into the uphill.
Yeah, it's so dicey.
You'd think a polypoint expert like Moonrai would consider that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what he can cook up here in game 2. Looks like he's opening factory again. I kind of feel like he'll do something with a starport. Maybe a 1 base build with a starport, maybe a 2 base build. But you never know.
You never know, man.
Kid's got range.
I do think his Terran is much less scary than his Protoss, truthfully. That being said, he will have moments where like he'll have a game like last game where it looked terrible, right? And then the next game you'll play against him and he'll it's like he gains like 300 MMR, like from game to game. You never know how he's going to perform. He can have like really well executed pushes, pretty crisp timings. Like he'll cut a lot of workers and like hit everything really well. Like you never know what you're getting game to game with Moonrai. That's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, and it does seem like that. Like Moonrise style is very well suited to Protoss, generally speaking, because Protoss, you can really lean into some strengths by taking little risks and being aggressive. This is a tricky one though. Like TVP, if you don't have the threat of playing a solid macro game where you max out with upgrades, Protoss can just defend everything like pretty comfortably and feel really good about their winning chances.
Yeah.
So
Moonrai actually in danger here. This is a mistake that I used to make that I stopped making is when you get a late scout like this, you don't know if there's a zealot on the map or not, because this can happen right here. And you actually have to go bunker before CC if this is happening. Otherwise you can get seriously screwed. And unfortunately for Moonrai, I had no idea this was coming. Actually blocks his own stuff on the ramp. Loses all the Marines immediately and kills only the probe and the shields of the 2 units. So this is going to be pretty much a nightmare. Barracks is going to have to reland, start making Marines. We're going to pull a bunch of our SCVs to try and catch them on the ramp, which actually Jaeyun does walk into it. So pretty good drill here. Nothing coming out of the factory right now, though. So he is going to clean this up with his drill. Like, again, super nice drill, actually. This mitigated a lot of the damage, but we're still definitely a bit behind. Nexus going to finish up way ahead of the CC, and Moonrai going to try and recover from here.
Yep, incredible drill. Kind of got him out of disaster. Still, like, quite a bit behind, I think. Like, just having to pull that many SCVs off the worker line when Protoss is just sitting there mining with a second Nexus. But as far as crisis control goes, that's about as good as it gets. Like, he nailed the drill.
Yeah, this will allow Jaeyun to safely go straight to his robo. He's going to go ahead and make a second gate. Just be a little bit safer, but it's going to delay like any of the map control and stuff the vultures can come out with. We're getting our second vulture out on the map now. Mine's probably on the way. CC is still not even done yet, right? While we're mining it like very healthily as Jaeyun. So his economic lead is just going to be huge. Actually going to go into the 3-gate ob style here, so it's just going to be super safe against any potential aggression from Moonrai. And can basically take this eco lead that he has, play it safe, and then go into a third base and kind of do whatever he wants from here, I think.
Yep, and Moonrai, meanwhile, is getting mines and mismanaging his income a little bit. Like, he has a lot of gas.
Yeah.
And that probably is just a side effect of the early gateway aggression. But we'll see where he spends that gas. Probably just into an armory, academy.
Yeah, I'm surprised he dropped the second factory before anything else. So I'm wondering if he's just going to... I mean, you never know with Moonrai. This is the thing. Like, he might just turn this into a push or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on what the follow-up's going to be. See if this is going to be an armory or depot. I guess it's going to be a depot. I mean, it looks like we're not making a move to make an armory, so he might just look to do kind of a timing push. But again, like I mentioned, it's going to be 3-gate ops, so Jaeyun can have a ton of units for a push if that's what he's going to go for.
And Moon is not spinning anything in his machine shop, so he's not getting vulture speed, which is kind of interesting. Second shop, third factory without any other type of tech. So yeah, should be really good for Jaeyun, having 3-gate obs, plenty of units, very responsibly timed third base.
Yeah, he's actually going to be taking a little bit of a later third. He's just playing, like you said, super safe against Moonrai to make sure he doesn't get caught off guard by anything. And here with this observer, he's going to see everything he needs to know, right? He's going to see 3 factory in the way. He's going to see no additional tech, no armory, nothing like that. Knows that a push is coming, so he just needs to make sure his gateways just keep pumping nonstop from here.
I think the best thing Moonrai could do at this point of the game is take a third base on location and just keep map control with vultures and try to secure a third.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that idea. I mean, he's going to have a lot of army production in the beginning at least. So if he gets like a decent tank count, I mean, he could potentially secure like on location 12 o'clock, on location here, like you said, and just try to turn this into like a macro thing instead. And armory coming down now, so upgrades are going to be late. Guess we're not going to be going for it. And this is what I mean. Even as the observer, man, I can't fully grasp what Moonrai is going for here.
I know, even with full information, it's kind of this in-between build where he's got 3 factories, so he's making a lot of units, but doesn't really seem to be gearing up for a timing with them. This is kind of like a Protoss build
It
where
really
you go like
is.
3 gate obs, except he's gone 3 factory sort of into his Armory Academy tech, which isn't really a streamlined strategy, but you know, he's getting the buildings he needs. He's gonna
Definitely
have
not
units
streamlined.
and his tech.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really... When I watch Moonrai play, I always kind of want to know, like, what he's thinking, like, what makes him do the things that he does, because there has to be some sort of thought process behind it, because he does these things that, like, we're looking at and we're like, man, that's, like, weird or awkward, like, what are you, like, trying to do? But if you ask him, it just be like, I'm just playing standard, man. Like, he genuinely doesn't see the problem here.
Yeah. Like, usually as Terran, like, if you are skipping turrets and are going to be vulnerable to, like, DTs or Reaver, you want to get something out of it in
Right.
exchange. You're taking some risk, so, like, you want to, like, be hitting a timing or at least getting really fast, like, you know, upgrades or a third base. This feels sort of very in between everything, where like he's got kind of late upgrades, he's got a good amount of units, but he's not pushing. He's going up to 5 factories, so we'll see. The 6 factories, so he is planning to push, which is a very, very solid way to play TVP. Go up to 6 factories. I think the streamlined 6 factory would be pushing out about a minute ago.
Yep. But this
So
is the 6-pack plus 1 all-in, remember? I've heard this is an all-in. There's no coming out of this.
Yes, of course. It's a... Yeah, pretty much anything Terran can do is an all-in to Moonrai.
Yeah, scanning ahead, checking the armor here while he pushes. Jaeyun does have a lot of goon. Currently no zealots or anything. Okay, there we got shuttles and zealots. We got 2 shuttles with zealot here. We do have 5 Goliath. We're just continuing to add units here. I mean, the army looks decent from Moonrai. We are down 40 supply. So with these shuttles coming in and this goon, we'll see how this attack goes. I mean, the first shuttle goes down without dropping a single zealot. Second shuttle, oh my god, the same thing. So Moonrai just basically got a donation here. And now the supply caught up a pretty decent bit. And one more bad trade like that, and Jaeyun actually will be in trouble for this push.
Yeah, I mean, pretty huge pickup, 2 shuttles. I think Jaeyun is still in a pretty decent position, but we'll see. There's chances now. It's just so hard to do these cross map 6-pack pushes. Like,
yeah, this is so hard to deal with right here.
Yeah, you get your reinforcements cut off. Like, he is getting to that good bridge position outside the Toss's 3rd, so you can put some pressure on the 3rd. The thing is, like, killing the 3rd isn't that big of a deal. He'll just transfer his probes to his 6 o'clock location and, you know, re-macro up an army and then crush these isolated units.
Yeah, and that's part of what makes this move so powerful from Protoss is not only are you cutting off reinforcements, but also turns into a flank where they haven't been able to reinforce their army and you can. So you see Protoss do this quite often, and it's just such a strong move. Like, you kind of see what I mean now, right? The goons are coming back, they're clearing out the mines, they're setting up a flank. We've got like all of our reinforcements from Jaeyun here. Meanwhile, Moonrai now is going to be scrambling to try and rejoin his army, not even knowing if the goons are, you know, going to intercept them again or not. So it's just so hard to get all of your army together when this is happening. We don't have legs yet for these zealots. Okay, it just finished. Okay. setting up a big flank. And while, yes, Moonrai is only down about 20 supply for this fight, a lot of it is not here in this fight. And we'll see how this trade goes. Pretty much all the goons down the top side, which is pretty nice for Jaeyun. There's only going to be 3 goons left over, but we do have 2 Reavers with all these Zealots. Going to clean this army up, and in the meantime, Moonrai is going to be using this fight here to get into position at the 6 o'clock. So this is a pretty good adjustment here from Moonrai. I actually don't hate it. Traded decently well on that side of the map. Going to break down this cannon and get up here onto these probes potentially.
Yeah, this is good tempo play from Moonrai, like using the time he bought himself to like get into a good
huge
position.
Reaver hits.
I think he does need to kill 6 o'clock to stay in this game because we don't see a third CC coming up for him, and his SCV count is probably sitting around 50, which is good. But his natural is that Reaver harass.
Yeah, we never quite sorted out. We're very oversaturated on the main and undersaturated on the natural here.
And we can see Moonrai starting some housekeeping things, like he's adding a turret in his natural, so he's kind of thinking about the counter damage Jaeyun is going to look for. But it looks like Jaeyun just wants to retake his bases. He's retaking his 3rd natural, setting up in the bottom left, and just continuing into like the next phase of PvT, which is like that sort of late game, setting up for a late game macro game. And Moon is kind of in a position where he has to either take the 3rd or finish this game. And he's making turrets and kind of sitting defensively.
Yeah.
Which kind of tells me he wants to take a 3rd, but we'll see.
It's hard to tell. Like, I feel like we're setting up to take a 3rd, but then... Okay, now we're starting it. Okay, he could have started this a lot longer ago, I feel like, but... Yeah, I guess just wanting to be extra safe, but I'm a little worried about taking the 3rd now. I mean, Jaeyun is going to be going up to 5 base. Well, I guess we denied in the bottom left, actually, so pretty good play from Moonrai there. Going to be a little bit annoying for Jaeyun, so he is going to be stuck just going back up to this 4th base as the 3rd CC is coming down from Moon. So maybe it actually is playable. Starport just now starting. +1 armor on the way now. I just kind of wish we had fixed the saturation at our natural, but otherwise... Moonrai is not in the worst position. I mean, there's no additional tech currently for Jaeyun. Just going to stick to the shuttle style, which, don't get me wrong, shuttle style is very powerful. You don't really need Arbiter Carrier necessarily. But, I mean, if you look at the supply and stuff in the game state, it's not that bad for Moonrai, considering how poorly I feel like it was going for him.
Yeah, he does have a pretty big army. He's made a lot of units. I think one variable here is Protoss upgrades should be pretty decent, because he does have a forge spinning with a 2nd forge on the way. It looks like it just finished, and Moonrise +1 finished a while ago, and that armory hasn't been working. So fights start to look pretty different when Protoss gets ahead in upgrades. Usually Terran's ahead in upgrades. So we'll see how that, if that becomes a factor.
Yeah, gonna try to get down here and start this Nexus, but there is a mine blocking this, so gonna delay that even longer. Gonna move this goon to try and block it, but there's actually mines, or to set off the mine. Oh, he actually managed to path around to not die before getting to the mine, so actually pretty lucky for Jaeyun. Either lucky or extremely aware.
Pro moves? Could be pro moves. So, 6 factories. Moon's got his 3rd base up and a decent turret ring. His main is nearly mined out. It's kind of strange. You don't usually see games where Terran secures their 3rd at 16 minutes. It feels like a pretty late 3rd. And it looks like Jaeyun is in really good shape.
Yeah, we see his supply kind of ballooned up here now, right? So we're about 50 supply ahead, and around this point, once he's starting in max, is when you're going to start seeing this. You're going to see a lot of like shuttle drops and harassment stuff, just kind of trading off Zealot and Storm to make the Terran just stay a little bit weaker while you're just taking more and more of the map and outmining them. So actually, this is something I needed to learn to do, is just to slam shuttles in there more often. and just go for like whatever kind of trades as long as you're killing something. So I mean, here we're gonna kill a few SCVs, make them pull off, start the Archon. Didn't really get a lot done, but it doesn't really matter that much for Jaeyun. We're on 4 base mining, going up to our 5th base. Like I said, we're max and we're kind of accumulating a bank, so just making Moonrai work a little bit so he's not getting up to that max supply and going for that potential 3-3 all-in later in the game.
Yeah, these Storm drops, like Storm in general has gotten more popular. I think more Protosses are using High Templars like throughout the game, at least compared to years ago when I used to be active. And it's such an efficient spell. It also makes it much harder for Terran to move their army. Like you have to go a lot slower and spread your tanks. Like Moonrai right here has a great tank spread, but it is really difficult and taxing to keep a good tank spread once you start to move your army.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult. Yeah, that's one of the biggest issues with a lot of Terran players. I mean, a lot of Terran players that are stuck in like C rank, B rank, something like that, I'll watch them play and their macros are pretty decent, but one of the hardest things to learn, like that I learned swapping from Protoss to Terran, my macro was great. I could have like 13-minute maxes where I'm 2-1 or something, and then get absolutely crushed when I push out, because it's so hard to fight with your army and like control it really well against the Protoss army. Like, I mean, here's a good example. We just move commanded and then late siege while the Zealots are on top of our tank, so this trade's going to go horribly for Moonrai.
It is, and like we haven't seen Moon snipe High Templar yet. I think Jaeyun is keeping his High Templar pretty safe in shuttles and flying them into mineral lines and killing SCVs. And now we're just gonna see like Protoss pumping out a bunch of units and kind of just trading and trading down Terran's forces. And yeah, just cross map with a weak economy, it's going to be really tough for Moon to actually threaten taking any bases. GG.
GG. We saw the second set of storm drops there clearing up that mineral line. Moonrai completely out of economy and just gets whittled down after that bad engagement. And Jaeyun's going to go up 2-0, much to the surprise of almost nobody.
Well, look, Jaeyun's up 2-0, but Moon has set up something in game 3.
He absolutely has.
2 completely odd builds, and now we just need him to lock in, play a standard macro build with a quick armory, quick eBay, and he'll be in great shape.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I know about Moonrai is once he's played like a few games against somebody, he does get them figured out. And sometimes you'll get like 10-0s and stuff against him, but he'll figure you out, and then once that happens, you just don't win as much anymore.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. Like I had a 10-0 against him, and then he figured me out. I barely beat the guy anymore.
Yeah.
He's locked in, and he kind of knows all my strategies and all the little cheese that I can do. And he's very hard to beat now that he has me sort of solved.
Yeah, because one thing I do know about you, Sterling, and don't take offense to this, is you are a terrible macro player, and Moonrai will out-macro you every single time.
What I found against Moon is I have to avoid those macro game situations.
You have to.
Because of what you're saying is his macro is so strong, and he has such a good feel for my playstyle. So I just have to mix it up. I have to do bio, I have to do timings, econ cheese. Basically, I can't do anything standard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really hard to play standard against Moonrai standard play, and just to clarify for you guys that are new to Moonrai's gameplay, so Moonrai likes to play a lot of Protoss as well. So him and Sterling have been playing PvT with Moonrai's Protoss, and Moonrai does like really standard builds like Gate Expand into DT drop into Carrier, and it's just really hard to play like your own standard macro against somebody that's that good at a standard game.
Yep. You think you're playing a standard macro game? Yeah, here's Carriers at like 7 minutes. GLHF. All right, we'll see what Moon's got cooking up for game 3. Cross spawn again, which I've always felt favors Protoss in this matchup. It's just a little bit harder to connect on a timing push, and
What is this
Like,
from Jaeyun? Moonrai is gonna get so mad, by the way. We're doing Ford Pylon into Cross Scout, First Scout, and Moonrai is going to be convinced that Jaeyun is cheating after this.
he is not gonna like the 4-player map, cross map scout.
This is the second time he got First Scouted on 4-player, but the fact that it's... Okay, he did actually, because we didn't cancel the probe in time, he actually missed his chance to steal the gas, so... I'm actually kind of sad about that, because I would have loved to have heard the Moon Rage. He's still going to complain, but if the gas had got stolen, it would have been so much worse.
I have a little anti-moon tech. Moon typically scouts horizontally, so if I don't get scouted early, I will scout myself. I'll scout cross map usually, and I don't think he knows that he does this, but yeah, he typically scouts horizontally. This game he's scouting vertically, we see, but little anti-moon tech.
It's gonna be an end scout though, 100%. We have a second probe coming. Okay.
Harassment probe. Jaeyun is starting to goof.
It's starting to goof a little bit. Second probe coming in with the Marine out. Zealot on the way. Okay.
It's very fun to goof against Moonrai because he just hates anything goofy.
Hey, what's up, Cookie? Currently Jaeyun's up 2-0. Alright, well, it's going to be cross-spawn gate expand. Moonrai actually didn't end scout. I'm actually really surprised he did not end scout. But there's a chance that he didn't realize that there was a problem. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not as big on the end scout as most people are. Like, I like the old box scout.
Well,
it does make sense to end scout if you get scouted so quickly.
Yeah. Scouted so, like, you could have got gas stolen, it was quick enough. Like, I would never assume that it was a pylon scout cross spawn. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But, yeah, I don't know. Moonrise 24 IQ? Is that the word?
Maybe 200 IQ.
200 IQ. That's what it was. 200 IQ.
And it looks like he's going for an FD, which is
also
build.
Yeah, also very questionable when you're going cross spawn to go for FD. But in this case, I mean, he did scout that it was late core. It's actually not the worst idea here. I like this a lot. Our Marines are like super late going, unfortunately.
And our barracks is positioned pretty far south in our base, which slows down our Marine reinforcement a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the SCVs are going to get here like very far ahead, but I mean, it's only 2 units right now for Jaeyun. The Goon's even out of position. Going to be coming down now. Second and third gateway on the way, but these won't really come into play other than a bust, potentially, if the bunker gets up. And like I said, yeah, these SCVs are a little too far ahead of the Marines, but going to regroup with the Marines and going to refight here. Tank is on the way. We got 2 goons out with the Zealot. Going to need to body block the Zealot. So good retreat there from Moonrai. Kind of reposition and get the micro there. Really good. Going to kill that first goon, or the first Zealot. Second unit, the first goon getting very low and going down. And this is looking pretty bad for Jaeyun. The probes do kill like every single Marine though, which is really nice. And there's not a bunker that's been started yet. Goon doing a good job of separating from the tank and not taking damage from the tank.
Vulture. Huge curveball with his cross-map pressure. Decent crisis management from Jaeyun, but he does get his units siphoned off, and there's no robo, so he's not going to be able to see any of these Terran spider mines. His natural expansion is under a lot of pressure. We'll see if he starts to make zealots to try to retake his natural. Moon's economy in shambles, but he's getting enough damage done that maybe he'll be able to take game 3. Moonrai with some special cross-map aggression.
Yeah, it's crazy because he's kind of not ahead, even if he kills the Nexus. But like, kind of like you said, the issue is that the Robo is so late. I mean, yeah, we're gonna have these mines going down now, and these vultures might be able to get enough damage to even things up a bit. I mean, we're gonna see that the CC's. Oh my God, we just had a huge mine hit, kill a bunch of probes and the goon. Gonna target down more probes now, and now Moonrise economy is miles ahead of Jaeyun.
I think we might see a GG. Jaeyun is down to 7 probes. And you know there's more vultures coming. We're gonna have free reign in the base. Moonrai returning a couple of his Blitz SCVs, and he's restarted his own SCV production. I think Moonrai might take this. I think we're gonna hear a "got him."
Got him. We're gonna get the laugh with it. Yeah, I got him figured out. I got him dialed in.
He's so greedy.
He's so greedy.
You just gotta hit him with a timing attack.
Yeah, as long as you don't take any damage from Jaeyun's early shenanigans, his mid game is just so weak. He's not a good macro player. He just plays really greedy and needs those leads. Moonrai realizing that all he's got to do is go kill him, and I think this is the beginning of the reverse sweep for sure.
I think it could be. I mean, Moon really seems to have him figured out. And Moonrai, true to his style, once he gets a huge advantage, he just starts expanding and going into a long macro game.
That's what you thought.
Oh, we got a second factory on the way. Okay.
I get it. I mean, I 100% get it. He's killing Jaeyun. It feels pretty good. He wants to keep doing that, so we're going to double down. We're going to drop that second factory. Looks like we did actually end up making a few more SCVs, so I'm really proud of Moonrai for that. We got all this gas banked up in case we wanted to keep pushing off of one base, so... we got killer instinct from Moonrai, if nothing else. Gonna make sure there's no third base.
Those vultures. Finally, an observer comes out for Jaeyun, which, you know, he's gonna see some bad news that there's, like, units in his natural still, and a bunker in siege mode. Siege mode is really not what you want to see here as Protoss, because it means you'll need a shuttle in order to do stuff. Like, you're kind of hoping to just clear your natural and make your Nexus, but when there's siege mode, you really have to do the shuttle, play the mobility game, ferry some units out.
Yeah, I like that we even started remaking Marines around the 9-minute mark to put something in the bunker, because we kind of made this bunker, then ran our Marines up the ramp. So he's just going to commit to the contain. It's pretty interesting, though, to go for the contain, but also go 2-fact instead of just expanding.
Yeah, I kind of like the decision of just to have the extra safety and those extra units when you're so far ahead. He's building an eBay. I think I would rather if that was a starport. I think Wraith is a little bit better than Turret in these situations. Like, obviously, I can see that it's Robotech and it's not DT, but
Jaeyun saying now that there's still not a natural for Moonrai. I'm sure the confusion is continuing to set in as the series goes on. I kind of wish I had a stream up. I can imagine being like, what? Alright, we're gonna load up a Reaver and see if we can work some magic. I mean, with a few good hits, if we manage to detonate this mine, kill this tank, then potentially some good hits on these SCVs, and Jaeyun can actually be kind of right back in the game, because, I mean, like we said, Moon is still only on one base. Obviously, he has like a big army supply lead, but Jaeyun has recovered his probe count a decent bit. Gonna try to work some magic. It's gonna be pretty tough, but we'll see what he can get done.
And if you're the Protoss here, do you like sending the shuttle over to Terran to try to get some counter damage done, or using it to try to clear the contain?
I think in this case, because Jaeyun took so much economic damage that he can't use it to clear the contain. Like, normally you don't lose all these probes in your main as well, right? You'd kind of retreat from your natural, and you'd be on like 3 gate pumping a lot of goon. You could, like, you know, shuttle down some goons and stuff and go for a flank, but he just has no units. Moonrai actually just scanned up the ramp and saw there's only 3 goons here, so he's actually going to just move up the ramp now and force this.
You know, Moon is like so locked in right now. He's so focused, and he's gonna be a very happy gamer.
I can hear him sucking on his teeth right now.
The intensity is high. Looks like the Reaver's about to go down in his base, and this should be curtains here. Very nice game from Moon here. Very solid, very aggressive.
Very aggressive.
I mean, it's a good macro game that Moon played. He has way more workers than Jaeyun does, which is one of the hallmarks of macro management.
Yeah, this is a pretty standard follow-up to busting the Nexus, I think. Is to just go 2 factory and then just like hardcore turtle on 1 base.
Turrets and academy, and just tons of siege tanks. Yeah, this is a very kind of Flash-esque strategy.
Yeah, very Flash-esque. And around the 12-minute mark, Moonrai kills, you know, multiple Reavers, kills the shuttle, kills a bunch of goons, you know, more than half the probe line again, and then he thinks to himself, I think this is a good time to expand. I feel like we finally got enough of a lead that we can drop our command center.
He's the Punisher, man. If you try to play greedy against him, you're gonna get punished.
That's it, man.
And you're gonna get out macroed. That's what we see here.
You know what, and I know what Moonrai was thinking for this game. He thought if he tries to expand, the only way he could lose is if he takes damage trying to expand. So he decided he was just going to avoid taking damage. And you know what? It worked out. Jaeyun had literally no chance to come back into this game, so who am I to judge Moonrai for the way he plays the game?
The best defense is a good offense, and that's what we're seeing here.
That is 100% what we're seeing. I think we're finally going to get the GG from Jaeyun. And Moonrai taking a game.
He's cooking. He is cooking.
He's cooking. He's got him figured out. He's got him dialed in. I think this is it, man. Moonrai probably watching that replay, laughing to himself right now, saying, got him. Got him.
Got him. Got him. And we'll see. Clearly, Jaeyun needs to make some adjustments. Like, Moon has been poking holes throughout the series in Jaeyun's strategies. And Moon has found a vulnerability.
He has.
In the system. In the Jaeyun macro system. And he's probably going to continue to exploit it unless Jaeyun makes some very calculated adjustments.
Yeah, after a game like that, like, once Moonrise got you figured out, the only way to win is to completely recalibrate and just completely change the way you play the game.
And that could be with a cheese. I think it's possible Jaeyun decides out of desperation he needs to do something really cheesy, like you know, 1 gate observer on 1 base into a nexus.
Yeah.
Into a 3rd base, you know, into like tons of gateways. So we'll see what kind of cheese Jaeyun cooks up.
Yeah, I can't imagine after these games he's gonna play standard. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on like kind of what kind of crazy like all-ins he's gonna go for against Moonrai. Moonrai, on the other hand, I'm sure will continue to play super standard, just standard like macro, solid gameplay. It's the best way to beat these players. When you're just better than someone, it's good to play solid macro like this.
ABCs, man, always be clapping.
I've not heard that before. I like it.
It's like both players opening up with something fairly normal. We're probably going to have an in-base pylon and an in-base supply depot. So with this setup, Jaeyun is saying, I'm sticking to my guns. I'm going to play a standard macro game. And Moonrai is saying, bro, I've got you figured out. I just beat you. And I'm going to beat you again.
Yeah. I really like this optimization from Moonrise. So a lot of times when you get this spawn, what you'll see Terrans do is they'll put this depot up against their CC. And when you do that, it makes where the SCV will come out closer to the mineral lines. It's not like a big deal, but it's a small thing, and these little things can add up. And I really like the way Moonrai, he wanted to make the depot quickly with the SCV, but not get that advantage, so he moved it a pixel down. And this is just showing like how confident Moonrai is, that he doesn't even need these small boosts. Once again, going to build our barracks at the very bottom of our base, so that if we do drop a factory, it's going to have to be very far away from the ramp as well. Or just not be protected.
You pointed that out, because Moonrai is not a map abuser.
Mm-hmm.
And he likes to play like very standard, and this is part of it. Is he's not going to push for these small map-oriented edges. It's not really his style. Now Jaeyun, on the other hand, is taking a massive. This guy's so greedy. He's so taking greedy. A Nexus before any gateway, before anything. No forge, nothing. So going for basically cheese.
Yeah, well, it kind of makes sense. Like, once you feel the kind of power that Moonrai has, you want to avoid going into, like, a game where you have equal footing. Because, I mean, look what just happened, right? It's the first game that was equal, and Moonrai absolutely smashed them. So Jaeyun, of course, is going to do whatever he can to get some sort of advantage in the early game. So, going to get that 12 Nexus, and, of course, being as lucky as he is, it is going to be crawl spawn. So there's not really much that Mr. Moon can do against this. But we do have a factory coming down a decent time. This looked like it was 11 gas, based on that factory timing. I wasn't really paying attention.
Long rush distance. And Jaeyun, yeah, he looks like he wants to get out of the early game stage as quickly as possible. I think because seeing Moon's micro be actually pretty strong and pretty devastating. And yeah, Moonrai going for the punish. Pulling, it looks maybe 8 SCVs, and he wants to bust this cannon. About 10 SCVs plus the scouting SCV, so lot of SCVs, a lot of firepower, and we're gonna see how this works against the photon cannons. I'm worried about the Protoss photon cannons.
Yeah, so photon cannons are actually really good against Terran SCVs and Marines. So I'm a little bit worried here too. I mean, the cannon's going to finish up as the SCVs are going to get on top of it. The thing is, they actually can burn this down, like, unironically. They're going to shoot through this cannon super quickly. Jaeyun, however, was prepared for that. Already has a backup cannon building. So even though that was, like, a really nice pick initially on this cannon, the next cannon's going to get up, and there's just no way to bust this anymore. I mean, these SCVs are going to have to come all the way back home. And Moonrai, probably not super happy with how that went.
And what we're seeing here is a classic case of Terran macro play and Protoss cheese.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I hate it from Moonrai, man.
This is basically a Combat X photon cannon rush.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That being said, he did at least force the extra cannon and killed, I think it was 1 probe. CC is going to be coming down now, but it's going to be really hard for Moonrai to dig his way out of this. I'll be curious to see what he wants to go for. We completely pulled off a gas. Do you think Moonrai would do something like double expand?
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to see, is a third CC. Probably in like another main or somewhere pretty tricky.
Yeah, this is going somewhere tricky. This is going to be like 12 o'clock or something.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. I mean, it is always nice to mine minerals that in the long term will be on your opponent's half of the map. The downside is that Protoss will usually be trying to take their fourth by 10 minutes. So you really cap how long you can actually mine this space for, unless you get really lucky and the Protoss only expands south.
Do you think he wants this fourth? I think he goes third here, into fourth here or here.
Yep, I think so too. I see most strong Protosses expanding both directions usually. So they'll take the top bases and the side bases rather than trying to get a quick main on this map. And their idea is usually okay, it's hard to really solidly defend any one location, but if they expand in both directions, they can defend one side.
Mm-hmm.
and make it hard for Terran to like push and kill their bases. So it'll be interesting to see when Jaeyun takes that 12 o'clock base.
Yeah, there's a chance that it's mined out by the time he's ready for it.
There is a very good chance.
Now, this is something that I've seen Moonrai doing lately, that he even did to me when we played BGH earlier, where I was trying to figure out why he was so far behind, and I watched the replay. He was on one factory for an eternity and made like a ton of turrets, and basically just doesn't seem to care about his macro a whole lot, going for like the defensive turret and the turret ring at the same time. So it's just very inefficient. It goes like very turret heavy. But he's going to be hoping for this hidden expansion to kind of get him a lead and make up for this mineral dump that we're putting into these turrets.
It is consistent. Like, if you are going to make a hidden base, it's good to have the turret ring. Because, like, at this level, Protosses are good enough to recognize if, like, something is wonky. And they'll start to scout the map. Like, if Jaeyun got an observer in and saw, hey, you have one factory, an armory, nothing else going on, he would send observers around the map to check for a hidden base.
Right.
So the turret ring protects that information a little bit.
Yeah, I don't necessarily hate the turret ring, and maybe it's just a little bit too picky, but I just didn't like the extra turret with the turret ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure we need that redundancy turret.
Looking for mines up here and not finding one. Gonna miss this command center, but not by a whole lot. In the meantime, we got this observer flying into the main here, and yeah, the turret's not even properly placed, so we're not even getting away with stopping the information with these turrets. And oh my god, he actually scouted 12 o'clock, which is crazy. And I feel like the game's just over now.
The game is probably just over.
Moonrai even noticed that the turret or the observer flew over a CC, so pulling the SCVs ahead of time.
And maybe he'll keep the CC alive, probably not. But like, as we could see, right when Jaeyun got the observer in, he knew something was up.
Yep.
And he found that base, and it's gonna put Moon in a pretty difficult spot.
Yeah, he did at least get 6 SCVs out of this command center, so it wasn't a total waste. And honestly, with those 6 SCVs, he actually completed the saturation, I think, for the first time this series. So there is like some plus side to it for sure.
And hey, he's heading into double armory, so he's like, hey, I'm behind. He knows he's behind. He knows his rush wasn't successful and his hidden third wasn't successful, but he wants to take the game long and buckle down and get really strong mech units, build an economy. So we'll see how it's going to go for him.
Yeah, we got that 5 facts. We have double armory, like you said. And sci-fi done, so yeah, maybe he'll go for some sort of 2-1 push timing. But it's going to be tough. I mean, Jaeyun going up to 4 base. We're going to scan and see the Arbiter tech coming down from Jaeyun, adding his extra gateways now after his 4th Nexus. I mean, Jaeyun's been able to be as greedy as possible this entire game.
Yeah, once you absorb some Terran pressure, like, all pressure is off. It's very hard for Terran to like push twice. And so Jaeyun taking advantage of that by teching up to Arbiter, taking a 4th, double forge, kind of getting all the infrastructure that he wants before adding gateways. It's like the Protoss equivalent of like making all of your drones before making units.
Yeah, living the dream. Alright, we're going to start pushing out a little bit here, just going to gain some ground. We have this 3rd CC finishing up relatively soon. Probably going to try to take this kind of 5 o'clock-ish base. So it's going to drop on top of this tank. Not quite going to kill it, though. Not going to set off the mines, but we are going to get the Unsiege, which allows all the goons to come in and pick off a couple tanks. Okay, just going to get one tank. So, actually not a bad trade. I mean, we killed... Did we kill the shuttle too? Okay, no, we didn't kill the shuttle, but we got a few zealots and like 4 or 5 goons for basically one tank. I think just one vulture, so... About the best Moonrai could hope for. I didn't realize we were dropping 2 command centers, so he does understand that he's behind and has to do something to catch back up.
And he's going slowly and carefully and not taking extra losses. Like, I think he did catch up a little bit there with that good trade, as you mentioned. So it looks like he's going to push up and try to take 3 o'clock and just grab that mineral only at the same time.
There's a chance, knowing Moonrai, that he doesn't know he made this command center. I actually wouldn't be surprised.
There is a chance. There's always a chance. And Jaeyun is doing...
Okay, we are moving.
The thing that Terrans fear most. 1 probe to each corner. Dropping nexuses everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we are going to move this command center down towards something down here at the bottom. Moon going to scan around. I guess just going to double check the gateway count, tech, and all that stuff. First Arbiter is out. 75 energy currently. Going to be sharking around here. Maybe looking to pick off a few units. Some stray vultures, perhaps.
And Moonrai has his 3rd mining by 13 minutes, which is 3.5 minutes faster than we saw in game 2.
Yeah, all things considered, he's doing very well relative to previous games.
His economy is going to be feeling pretty juiced.
I mean, supply-wise, we're actually looking okay. Our 2-1 should be finishing relatively soon. The problem is, like you mentioned, Protoss getting all 3 corners just starts getting so incredibly difficult for Terran to play against, especially once they start getting gateways and all those bases.
It's so stressful. It's like, oh, where do you push?
Mm-hmm.
Do I push to the main that's mined out, or do I push to the bottom left and leave my 3 o'clock base undefended? It's a very difficult situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it starts getting really, really difficult. In this case, like, if you're able to fight the army, there is a window where you can push them in because it's currently where all the gateways are. But once the gateways come up, then it starts becoming very difficult to make a decision. And you also have to consider that if you're going to push the main, you kind of need to end the game more or less, because you start running out of places to expand while they're continuing to bank up and kind of suck up the map. So it's always, to me, very difficult to make the decision. From the outside looking in this game right here, my brain tells me that push up the top right and expand through that side is kind of the best bet, but you start getting stretched so thin when you do this as well. And against Arbiter play, this is very hard to defend.
Yeah, I think I like pushing up to the right as well. But I trust Moonrai's judgment. I mean, this is the type of game Jaeyun does not want against Moonrai. This is a macro game.
Yeah.
So we can see, like, Moonrai has really good saturation at his 3rd. Like, he's really balanced his SCPs very well, and he's going to be making a lot of well-upgraded units. I think we're mining our 3rd with upwards of 7 SCVs.
Yeah, I mean, we're really going hard on the eco. We have 6 right now on the mineral line. We have a lot that are kind of watching, but I think this is really smart because by having these around, like, say the Arbiter comes in and starts attacking the turrets, you can actually repair them so they don't die as quickly to the Arbiter.
Oh my god, so he's taking a TVZ strategy.
Yeah.
He's applying it in TVP in a really creative and unique way, where he's going to repair those turrets so they don't burn down.
Yeah, and it makes it where you don't have to spend the extra 75 minerals to rebuild them. And the other thing he's doing that I really like is by using only 6 SCVs on the mineral line here, it makes it where no matter how long the game goes on, he's always going to have this base available to mine from.
That's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant, because he can keep mining. Well, Jaeyun will have all of his money already mined, just sitting in the bank. Here we go. We have a first recall. There are lots of turrets and lots of zealots.
There's a lot of zealots.
we see the repair going down on those turrets. I mean, those turrets are dying pretty quickly, but the strategy was there.
Yeah, the thought process was there. He just wasn't... Oh, gonna go ahead and GG. Alright, just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, and that's the recall cheese, and that's kind of what Jaeyun is known to be, kind of cheesy, and he did some, you know, cannon rush into recall cheese type thing. Upgrade, max out, cheese. Very all in.
Yeah, I'm sorry guys, that was a bit of a miscall for me. I thought the game could go on from there. I did not realize how important those 6 SCVs on that base was. So that's a bit of an oversight for me, so I do apologize. But Jaeyun's gonna take this series 3-1.
Well, great series. So awesome to see like this high level foreign brood war. I appreciate just being here in the audience of such a wonderful battle.
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot from this series, I feel. Moonrai's a loose cannon, man. You never know what's coming. You never know when he's gonna... It's crazy because I've seen so many games where he refuses to quit when he's down to like 20 supply. And probably in one of the most playable games he's had today, that was when he quit. So you just never know. You never know what Moonrai's gonna do.
He stays one step ahead.
One step ahead. Alright, well thanks for joining me, Sterling. I appreciate that.
You got it, my friend.
Alright guys, I'm gonna go to bed. They were doing this match. They talked about it. I saw they were doing it, and I was like, let me hop on and do a little bit of a for fun cast here. But my brain is fried. I can barely form sentences and thoughts. So I'm gonna